So Adam, as a wrestling fan, what moment from wrestling would you like to see preserved forever?
I think it has to be the moment that Shawn Michaels had a tag team match with God.
That's pretty sick. The WWE basically rules the world of wrestling-based entertainment with an iron fist, so much so that they've used their waning economic and corporate clout to basically buy up every single wrestling company to exist and steal all of their footage. Seemingly in an effort to continue their near total market dominance, the WWE has stored almost all of the wrestling footage that it owns in a bomb-proof mountain.
When you say the content squirreled away in a bomb-proof mountain, like what do you mean by that?
I mean it quite literally. I mean that the WWE maintains a facility in the Iron Mountains in the Catskills in which they store thousands upon thousands of wrestling tapes, and said facility is hardened to everything short of a point-blank nuclear strike, meaning that the vast majority of the WWE's catalogue could survive a nuclear strike.
I'm just waiting for this to be worked into a new angle now. Like, John Cena tries to nuclear bomb WWE.
No, you've just got John Cena Mission Impossible-ing his way into this facility to try and get all the footage of his losses erased or something like that. But to continue, in addition to being hardened to attack from the outside, the insides of the facility are equipped with state-of-the-art fire suppression systems that will, at a moment's notice, fill the interior of a room in which fire is detected with a special kind of foam that suffocates it without damaging this precious, precious footage within. And I would presume that if all that fails, Vince McMahon himself will walk into the room and wrestle the fire into submission.
I can just imagine his entrance music hitting of, you've got no chance in hell, and just starts in the fire.
I'm just imagining that he sees it on his desk. Oh God, no, there's a fire. There's a fire in Iron Mountain. And just his music plays, and he rips off his fucking shirt, revealing that super buff Vince McMahon underneath. And he just gorilla walks his way down to the fucking mountain and just sees the fire, and he puts it, just wrestles it. Because I reckon he could. He's tried to wrestle God before. He could wrestle fire.
Yeah, that's it. Because he's set the precedent now. He can fight the Almighty. So what's a bit of heat to it?
Yeah, that's the thing. If he can wrestle God, he can wrestle the base elements that make our universe up. Which now makes me want a spin-off of Avatar: The Last Airbender that's just wrestlers just bending various elements. Because you know that Vince McMahon will make a sick, awesome enemy in that series. Because he's basically King Boomy.
Yeah,
think about it. It's just a really old dude who's actually super buff. And he's capable of making exaggerated facial motions.
I'm just imagining the Big Show just jumping into the ocean to fight water, just taking it one-on-one.
Probably could. I reckon Brock Lesnar could make the ground tap out if he wanted to. But now I'm really just excited about the idea of just an Avatar crossover with wrestling. Because they've already done a crossover with fucking everything else. And they did, the Scooby-Doo crossover?
Yeah, the Scooby-Doo.
A couple years back. So I'm waiting now for the Avatar Last Airbender wrestling crossover, where Vince McMahon is just doing katas and someone in fists made of rock to punch people.
Jeez.
Oh, man, it's great. Anyway...
I mean, everything you've said, it sounds really over the top.
It does, doesn't it? Which is why it's kind of hilarious that that's not the only facility that the WWE maintains. And in fact, the one in the Iron Mountains is used to just store footage before it is transferred to another, more modern facility they maintain in Stamford, Connecticut, where it is all digitized and future-proofed.
I'm guessing this facility in Connecticut isn't bomb-proof, though.
No, because it's not inside of a literal mountain, but it is given a great deal of protection, and it is accessible only to the highest ranking executives in the WWE. And seeing as that facility basically houses all known wrestling footage ever recorded in the continental United States, they don't trust a human to look after it, and is instead watched over and guarded by, I shit you not, a robot.
Fucking hell. Really?
An actual robot. It's not a big fucking real steel rock'em sock'em robot like you're imagining, but just an arm that gets footage, grabs it, puts it into a computer, digitizes it, catalogs it, and then moves it off to be stored securely elsewhere. But I just like the idea that all the footage of wrestling that exists in the United States is guarded by Vince McMahon and a robot. That's a pretty good tag team right there, isn't it?
I'm just imagining a Triple H upgrade, so it's quadruple H, just the robot version.
Triple H comes into Vince McMahon's office one day. Vince McMahon's I'm sorry, Triple H, but you've been replaced. What by? and just out walks a robot with 4 H's on its chest.
Quadruple H.
It's just, and what it is, it's the robot from Real Steel. Zeus from Real Steel.
Yeah.
The big, giant, robot that's 40 foot tall and everything else, that's it. And then Triple H has to fight it, like at the end of Real Steel. And something I'm only mentioning so we can talk about Real Steel. And Adam, have you seen Real Steel?
I'm going to break your heart, but no, I haven't.
Oh man, you need to watch it, and do you know why? Because it's just Rocky with a robot. So if you've not seen the movie, you're at least aware of what the plot is.
Yeah, I know of it, I've just not seen it.
Yeah, so it's robots that box, and the robots are controlled by people. And the reason I love this movie is it contains one of my favourite scenes ever, and it takes place right at the very end, and it's the hero robot, Atom, who is a training bot. So he can't actually fight, but because he's a training bot, he's basically impervious to damage. So he's Rocky. So it's the Rocky thing of, he's not very skilled, but he sure as shit can take a punch, and he's fighting this giant 19-foot tall robot called Zeus. And right at the very end, it's like the robot's controlled by Hugh Jackman, because of course it is. And he's watching this giant 10-ton robot wail on Atom and realises using his superior boxing mind, 'cause he used to be a boxer before robot boxing took over, and goes, he's got to tell, which means that we can beat this robot. And this culminates in the aforementioned possible favourite moment in a film ever. And it's where Hugh Jackman activates a shadow boxing protocol, so he's controlling the robot. And what happens is just Hugh Jackman just closes his guard and just takes this unrelenting assault from Zeus. And the people in the crowd are thinking, oh no, what's Atom going to do? What's Atom going to do? And Zeus backs off after delivering this almighty beatdown. And then Atom, the little robot that could, just goes, bring it on, and ask for more. It's like, oh, you go, Atom. Just this robot, is that all you fucking got? Come on! And then what happens is, Zeus the robot inexplicably gets tired, at which point Hugh Jackman just does a 10-hit Tekken combo on it. It's like, oh, it's so good!
It just reminds me of Luke Skywalker, when it's... Oh, which film is it? Is it Last Jedi?
Is it Last Jedi? Yeah. When the AT-ATs launch an entire volley at him, and he just goes...
He just literally shrugs it off his shoulder.
So you think lasers can kill me? I'm Luke Skywalker, and then he just fades away. For no reason, in a movie that sucks. Anyway.
Bringing it back then, you mentioned that they actually catalogue all the footage.
Yes, and this is where the story, at least in my opinion, gets more interesting than the bomb-proof mountain thing, because during the digitization and cataloguing process, the robot takes note of every wrestler involved in a match and every single move they throw, creating a master list that the WWE can access at a moment's notice, which is one of the reasons they can cut sizzle reels so quickly, because all they have to do is type in on their computer, okay, I just want to see every dropkick delivered by wrestlers in this weight division from this era, and they can find that. And I think they make use of that to a lesser degree on the WWE streaming service.
Yeah.
Do they? Because if I'm remembering correctly, can't you go into that and just search by match type?
Yeah.
And then cross-reference that with wrestlers and find, say, every table match involving Jeff Hardy?
There's so many. Yeah.
And the robot does something similar to that, and that's why the WWE can do that, because this robot just has learned to recognise what a dropkick is. And then it just notes every example of a dropkick and adds it to
Oh my god, Quadruple H is developing.
So that means if they did make Quadruple H, they could program it with every wrestler's moves who's ever lived.
Oh,
and it'd become the Shujinko of WWE. So he just knows everybody's special moves.
It's just, I can imagine it being very similar to Triple H, but when he sprays the water, Quadruple H would spray hydraulic fluid.
Yeah, but what it'd do is it'd combine the best introductions of all the best wrestlers. So it'd be doing Triple H's water spraying thing, but it'd come in a lowrider like Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah.
But then what it'd do is it'd come in the lowrider after the lights have gone out, and the lights have come back on, and the lowrider's in the middle of the ring like The Undertaker. And you just combine all of the introductions to create the ultimate introduction. Not only does the WWE have its bomb-proof mountain, they also have a robot that knows every wrestling move. We should probably be thankful that it's just one big arm, because that, if it had any more, it could just put you in a fucking leg lock and kill you. Can you imagine that? A robot that knows all the best moves of all the best wrestlers who've ever lived.
I'd rather be given an FU or something than put in a fucking submission, because that would snap.
Yeah, it can put you in the walls of Jericho while simultaneously delivering a people's elbow to your dick hole, man. It's crazy. And then you could combine all of the taunts as well. So you're doing X-Pac suck it combined with the Hulk Hogan shirt rip.
Shirt rip, then suck it. Unbeatable. It's funny you should mention Chris Jericho though, because I was watching AEW yesterday where he wrestles now. and he puts one in the walls of Jericho, where he's like, oh my god, he's put him in the Lion Tamer. I was like, oh no, what?
Change the name.
Yeah.
But bringing it back to X-Pac really quickly, did you ever see a great interview with him for the show? I think it's Toys That Made Us, when they're talking about wrestling figures.
I think it is. I think I've seen that, yeah.
If people don't know what I'm talking about, they briefly bring on X-Pac to talk about the supposed bad influence wrestling had on kids in the 90s. Because if people aren't familiar with wrestling, the wrestler X-Pac, his taunt was the suck it, where he put his arm, is it in a cross?
It's in a cross, yeah.
He put his arms in a cross and then hit his crotch and just say, suck it. And they say, the kids across America were doing this on the playground. And they bring in the wrestler X-Pac and ask him about it. And he just bursts out laughing because that's pretty funny. Like, he's so happy to learn that kids across America was going, suck it, to their teachers. Like, yeah, you go, X-Pac.
I've got another X-Pac funny moment.
Is it where he got his arsehole exploded?
Oh, no. Let's not mention that.
No, if people don't know, he tried to do a bucking bronco, which was you jump on someone's chest when they're against the ropes. And someone moved, so he slammed his entire arsehole directly into a metal pipe and split it in half. So he split his own arsehole in half. It's like, that's a rough injury. That's up there with some of the worst injuries in wrestling.
The one I'm thinking of, though, was, I think it was about last year. I think, not far off, actually, a year ago. And It was Seth Rollins and Bray Wyatt in a Hell in a Cell. And Hell in a Cell is just notorious for anything goes. There's no rules. And Seth Rollins managed to get disqualified somehow. And they were doing, like, WWE were doing a live stream with like some old wrestlers who were sat watching it, just offering their opinions. And X-Pac basically, to the words, that's bullshit. He just got right angry saying, how can you be disqualified? And they've like cut him from all programming now.
And we can use that to discuss the weird amount of power the WWE wields in regards to wrestling, because as I alluded to earlier in this video, the WWE owns pretty much all wrestling footage ever recorded in America, because as they grew, one of the things Vince McMahon did, he just bought out smaller wrestling companies and got their back catalogue. And that's one of the reasons that the WWE basically have over 50 years worth of footage now, to the point where archivists they have trying to catalogue it all have said we have got boxes and boxes full of old tapes from defunct companies WWE have bought we've not even opened. And there's probably some really good matches in there because there's probably some famous wrestlers in their early days.
Yeah.
In that box that is currently just sat doing nothing and very well might degrade before we get a chance to get around to it and digitize it, and it might be lost forever. It's just sat there and they don't know what to do with it, and that's crazy. And hopefully as I'm talking now, there'll be a fact bar below talking about all the now defunct wrestling companies that the WWE owns, and it's crazy to think how much power they wield over that specific area of entertainment.
Do you know what I think they should do? Is get that box and hang it above the ring and have a ladder match. Winner gets control.
Weirdly enough, what was that wrestling company that Ted Turner owned during the Monday Night Wars?
WCW.
Okay, well the story with that goes after WWE won the Monday Night Wars, which is a fun read on Wikipedia if you want to while away 25 minutes. Vince McMahon just bought their entire back catalogue, all the footage they own, and just shuttered it away. And Chris Jericho, oddly enough, found out later that Vince McMahon bought it for $4 million. And Chris Jericho was really pissed off to find that out because he said, well, I had about that much money at the time. I wish I'd known because I would have tried to buy it. Vince McMahon got it for a steal and now owns all that footage and now uses it to sell his streaming service. Like, God, why are you so evil, Vince McMahon? As if he wasn't evil enough. And that's a bit of a depressing thought to end on. So the thought I want to leave people with is that the WWE maintains a nuclear bomb-proof mountain that contains almost all wrestling footage to exist in America. And in addition to being kind of neat, I really hope that becomes a plot point or at least a mission in a later Fallout game.
Yeah.
I would love that. It's like, oh, what do you need? What's the plot of this Fallout game? It's like, bring wrestling back. So, Adam, you're a big fan of wrestling, correct?
I am, yes.
Okay, so I want you to help me now improve upon your idea of Quadruple H and help me create the ultimate wrestling robot that has all the best gimmicks and all the best moves. And we're going to Photoshop this. So whoever edits this one, ready up Photoshop. And we'll start with, the base will be Zeus from Real Steel. And let's now just dress up Quadruple H in all the most iconic ring gear we can think of. And we'll start at the top What's the most iconic piece of wrestling headwear you can think of?
The one that I'm thinking of is the hat that Undertaker wears, the symbolic hat.
Ooh. Okay, yeah, let's go for that. Let's go for the Undertaker hat. And then for the face, should we go for Ultimate Warrior's makeup?
We could do that, or we could go for Kane's mask.
The thing is, I know Ultimate Warrior is more famous, but I like Kane more. So fuck it, yeah, he's wearing Kane's mask. Now let's move down to the shoulders. And is there an adornment in wrestling that you quite like and that you'd like to see Zeus wear? Or Quadruple H, as it were?
The one that comes to mind is the Legion of Doom used to wear like hockey pads with big black spikes on the shoulders.
Oh, okay, so he looks like a World of Warcraft character.
Yeah, I think they're very iconic, so I think this will look good on Quadruple H.
Now let's go down to the chest, and what do you think Quadruple H should wear there?
I think if we're like talking about a shirt, I mean, it's the ultimate merch seller, which is John Cena. It's got to be something of his.
Yeah, it's got like, okay, so a John Cena t-shirt, and then in the hands, what's the weapon that Quadruple H should wield? Because I'm thinking Triple H's iconic sledgehammer.
It's got to be an improved quadruple style sledgehammer.
Yeah, so make the sledgehammer a little bit more deadly. You know what? The super sledge from Fallout. Let's go for that. The super sledge that's got like a fucking rocket on the back of it. And then the other hand, put Mr. Socko from Mankind over it. Now let's go down to the waist. And with the waist is easy. Just put as many wrestling titles as you can around that waist. Moving down to the legs, what should Quadruple H wear there?
I'm thinking Rey Mysterio's trousers from like his late 2000 days when they were just proper flashy.
Like weird vinyl sex pants. But we're not done quite yet. Quadruple H obviously has to now be inside of Eddie Guerrero's lowrider. Because I fucking love that introduction. And the lowrider, fuck it, is on top of the Undertaker's motorcycle.
Just defying logic now.
Why not? Quadruple H could do it. And there we go. There's the ultimate wrestler. Vince McMahon, I'll take my paycheck whenever you feel like paying me. Let's go.